Oh, this is going to be tricky. What is this? Oh, welcome to OMG Real Talk with Anna Mustang. Sorry, I'm here and I'm not paying any attention. You can see I'm off and discombobulated today. It has been a good day. I'm gonna say it's a good day. And I'm gonna tell you why it's a good day. Because the football game is tonight. Do you know, for me, everybody gets excited about the halftime show. Please. I want to see who wins. At the end of the day, they're not my teams, but hey, the joy a woman gets seeing men running across the screen. What can I say? So, this week has been very interesting in the news. You know, I like to tell us a few things that have been going on. And we've had, our great, what should we call it? I don't know. They call it Partygate, but I call it taking liberty. Yeah. With the 16 parties that they've been having in Downing Street while everybody's been locked up, locked in and doing all kind of things. And then we've, boy, I don't know if it was you, but whoever it is that voted for that man who's the mayor of London, I ain't feeling you. I'm just putting it like that. Because the mess that he is doing, TFL, everything else, how that happened? Don't let me get on my soapbox. And the one joyous thing, though, which I'm really interested in, is that Prince Harry has written a book about his life as a royal and what he's experienced. That may be interesting. Lizzie might not be having her party this year. But anyway, so let me get straight into it because you know I'm crazy and I got issues. Today I am here with a most beautiful Black queen. When I say that this woman, she's like a little sister to me, but she amazes me. She amazes me because she's, I don't know if you could say like a chameleon because she's good at changing and adapting to the way of life. But either way, she's just someone who, when you hear from her, she just will blow you away. That's just my opinion anyway. And my opinion counts. So it is what it is. So, one of the things that we're going to talk about is her overcoming the big C. And we say it like that because people are usually fearful to even say the word. And for many of you who've experienced it, encountered it, you know the big C is. What it is that you may say, but for many who have and are living it, they already know exactly what this is. And it's cancer. Cancer has no regard for age, race, or gender. It could be described a bit like a virus. It gets in and it just tries to take over, becoming abnormal cells in the body and dividing in an uncontrolled way. There are more than 200 cancers. I could not believe it when I researched it. And 1 in 2 people now in their lifetime could suffer with cancer. I mean, wow, that's just deep. So that means you're sitting next to somebody, either you or they could have cancer. So I thought I'd go back again to the words because I'm like, what is God saying about this stuff, man? And again, Psalms 139, 13 to 14 hits home. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Fearfully, when translated from the Hebrew, means with great reverence, heartfelt interest, with respect. Wonderfully, when translated in Hebrew, means unique and set apart. So, to my beautiful Black queen, share who you are and tell us a bit about yourself and your talents.
For those who don't know me, my name is Kareem and I'm a creative. I've always been a creative and my thing mainly is fashion, and after having my first baby I went into graphic design and fashion and branding, and yeah, that's mainly what I've been working on: fashion and graphic design, branding. Um, so I'm feeling a little bit nervous. I don't even know why. And what else could I tell you about myself? I grew up in West London, and then I've done a lot of moving recently, actually, from West London to Southeast London, and then to Manchester, and then back down to London side. So I'm well travelled. I think there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah, we can see your mouth, but there's no
Okay.
movement.
Yeah, I don't.
No, it's it. I mean, I don't know what's happening here, but we'll kick back in. It's kind of cute though. You look like you're in full song. Okay, so I can hear you here, but I still see just your mouth. So let me see if I take you out and then bring you back in on here. Let's see what happens. That is hilarious. Try and see what's going. Yeah. Try and see what's going on with that. You've come out now altogether. That's too funny. Sorry. You know what? Let me tell you something. Technology, in the best of things, can still mess up. It's so annoying. Annoying, totally. So we're having some technical difficulties, but just to recap, just on what Corinne said until we can get her back in. She is a mover and shaker. So you heard she has been moved from west to north to south. Then she's gone up north in the UK. I don't know why. And then, but hey, maybe it's nice up there. Just we don't know about it down here, us in London. It's she's being nice. She said Manchester's not too bad. So she don't have a Manchester accent, but yeah. So she's done a lot of moving, and even now she's in the past 18 months. You've moved what 3 times? Yeah, that's amazing. So you've moved 3 times. That's a lot, and you're not a diplomat. Do you see how famous you are? So see if you can come back in on the laptop. Let's see what happens. But no, so um I still think this is me personally. I still think that Karine does not realize how she is a boss. She has not really recognized what she has gone through and truly accomplished. It is not an easy road by no means. And she is just hitting it like a baller. If she's breaking down on the inside, ain't nobody know on the outside because she's rocking that world on the outside. So this is why I want you to really hear her story. Her story, I truly believe, is to save lives, to save others' lives, because there's some other woman out there and man whose maybe partner is going through this, or whether you're a gay couple or straight, whatever, it doesn't matter. Cancer has no regard for who you are and how it's going to impact you. And I was looking and learning at the five, well, there's the top cancers that are, what do you call it? The most common. And I learned some new names. I'm telling you, she's made me learn so much. And you know, it was definitely a thing where you have carcinomas, You know what? I'm not even going to pretend because to say them all because some of them is and there was pancreatic cancer, there was prostate, breast, um, tum, oh my gosh, uh, lymphatic, leukemia, which is a different cancer because it doesn't come like the others where they come as tumors. It was saying that the leukemia is in the blood. So I learned that that's different. So, and then just when I saw how cancer forms, I was like, wow. And it can be very rapid. So when I think that that's what you're experiencing or have experienced, where's the Prozac? That's where I belong. I'll be like, give me the drugs. I don't want to think about this no more. But not my girl. She's just like, ah, this is a new road. I'm gonna take this challenge. Let's go. So let's go. Tell them.
There we go. Okay, so the beginning of this journey. So last year, second weekend, no, not second, the third weekend in January last year, I found out while we were living in Manchester, I found out I was 5 weeks pregnant and not planned, but still excited. And then 7 days later, I got a diagnosis telling me that I had breast cancer. Uh, it's interesting that we're actually doing this because I found the lump in my armpit. I was random. I was just sitting down watching. I think it was Bridgerton. I was binging. I was binge watching Bridgerton, and I was just relaxing and sitting down, and my hand was, situated right here where my armpit is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered how people say to you, "Oh, you should always green sound is unclear." Can we do anything? I'm not too sure what to do about
No,
the
it's
sound.
fine. Go on. Try it. It's fine.
Is that better?
Yeah. It says they said that it sounds unclear, so try it now.
Okay.
It sounds like we're under the sea. We're doing Ariel.
Okay, it's good now. Okay.
Yeah.
So prior to that, about a month and a half before that,
Mm-hmm.
I was binge watching Bridgerton at a random time at night, and I remembered how they said, you should always have a feel around in your armpits as well.
Right.
And it wasn't a major thought that I had. It was just something in the back of my head. So I just thought, okay, let me just feel around. Mm-hmm. And I felt a lump. I didn't really think anything about it, but at some point I spoke to yourself mm-hmm. and said that I was sitting down and I could feel this lump in my armpit.
Right.
And Anna told me to go and get it checked out. So I went to my doctor. They said to me, they're not sure what it could be. Could be nothing, but let's just go and get it checked out.
Right.
And they said in 3 weeks' time I would get an appointment, and nothing came through. And I thought, you know what, let me call these people. And in fact, it was 2 weeks, and by the third week I thought, let me call them. So I called them, and they said, the doctors said to me, oh, there's nothing here. There's nothing shown on the system for any appointments. And I said, no, that's impossible. I'm supposed to have an appointment. And there was a lot of back and forth. And then they called me back to say, oh, your appointment's today at 6 p.m. So Matthew had to finish work a little bit earlier. And I went down and they examined my armpit. They also examined my breast. And the doctor said to me, well, it could be something, it could be nothing. I'm still not sure. But he wants to do a mammogram and a biopsy. And at this stage, I was still not even fussed. about it. Um, the biopsy was painful. It was very painful. Quick, but it still hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a bit surreal as well. Um, so yeah, so they did the biopsy, and then I went back home, and they said it roughly about 11 days time they'll
Right.
get back to me. So in between that time, I find out I'm pregnant, and Matthew's got the day off, so he's looking after Hayden, and I go to the hospital, and I went by myself because normally I'm the kind of person that would stress about everything. Major, minor, no matter what it is, I'm going to stress
You're supposed to stress
anyway.
about it.
Yeah. But this time around, I didn't stress at all. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't worried. I wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, what if it is cancer? That wasn't, it didn't even cross my mind that it could possibly be it. I thought that this is just going to be something else. And so when I went in, I sat down, and you don't know what they're going to say. You have no idea what's going to come out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how he phrased it, but he told me that it's positive for the results are showing positive for breast cancer.
Okay.
And so a week ago, I found out I'm pregnant. Now I've got breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and I started crying. But I think in my head said, "Okay, you're supposed to cry," but I didn't really know what to do.
Right. Right.
And the first thing I said was, "How am I supposed?" I told them I'm pregnant. I think I told them that I'm pregnant. And then I said to them, how am I supposed to go home and tell Matthew that I've got breast cancer?
Mm.
And I've got Luke, I'm not Lucas, sorry, Hayden, and we're in Manchester. Like, none of it was just, it just all seemed a bit too much to really comprehend.
Right. Right.
Um, and then I haven't thought about this for a long time now, but the whole process in this deeply. But so I got back home, and I didn't want to tell Matthew over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I believe I told him when I got home, and in fact, I don't remember. I'd need to ask him if I told him beforehand or not. But I think I know. I think I, yeah. Sorry. And then it was it was a very somber and strange vibe. That just
Right.
it was like being hit by a truck, but you're not dead, but you're just there, and you've been hit, and you're feeling like tremors from being hit by the truck. It was uh, um, and I felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad because I knew the impact that my mum's cancer journey had on myself.
Right.
Um, there was something else I didn't say about that in a minute, but I was just thinking about how it's going to impact him, how it's going to impact Hayden, and I didn't know what we were going to do.
Right.
Um, so I'm having a bit of a mind block as well because I haven't thought about this properly for so long.
No, no, that's
Um,
fine. I can see that for no anyone who would have had that news, you had the joy, the celebration. Woo, pregnant. Oh, didn't expect this. Yay, yay. And then you go, slam, bam, whoa.
yeah,
It's like elation, you know, destruction. What are you talking about? You
mm,
must have been questioning. You must have been, maybe they got it wrong. You're processing, and then you not only have your own, you have to now go home and share this.
yeah,
And you're looking at your partner, and you're looking at your son, and you're like, how are we going to do it? You
Yeah.
must have been asking so many questions.
I was asking, so it was a toss up between where I was asking a lot of questions and moments where it just seemed like there was nothing. Because I remember as well, for a long period of time, we were just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
We were really quiet. And what do you say? As the person that's been diagnosed, what do you say? As a person that's supporting the person that's been diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can say, yeah, I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
they're still going through their own level of shock
Right, right.
as well. And what I realized with my cancer journey is that you think, for me, with my mum, with her journey and her being unwell for a year and then passing, I thought I knew what you needed to know about having cancer.
Right.
But I realized that you don't, as much as you might be a person that's supporting someone
Mm-hmm.
with cancer and you're there through all of those really bad moments, it's it's very different when you're the person that's been diagnosed with it.
Mm.
Um, so so I'm bouncing around, and
No, that's fine.
so they said to me that based on my results, I was going to need to have a mastectomy, single mastectomy.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I know I'm laughing, and it's not a funny laugh. I'm just thinking about how ridiculous it all is. But yeah, in that moment, I was like, no, you lot are
Mm-hmm.
messing with my life. You lot
Mm-hmm.
are messing with my life, and I don't appreciate it. I'm not here for it. I didn't want to accept or absorb anything that they were telling me about this because, and then also need chemotherapy. And at the end of it, they'll need to see me to have radiotherapy as
Mm-hmm.
well. But because I'm pregnant, they need to come back to me. Yeah, it is a coping mechanism. So yeah, so they said they're gonna have to come back to me and let me know what's gonna happen in terms of me having the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And after they they contacted me again, I had to go back for more biopsy um, and blood tests and everything. But then they called me and they told me that there's a possibility that I'd need to terminate the baby. And
How? What was that emotion?
I said, I'm not terminating my baby. Matthew is very practical. He's very sensible and very practical. I am more with my heart. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not getting rid of my baby. And, thankfully, they did come back and review how they were going to move forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me that I had an option. They then left it up to myself to decide if I'd want to terminate before having treatment or continue with the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was, I'm going to keep the baby and I'm going to go ahead with treatment. But for a short while, it was very uncomfortable having them say, you might need to terminate and we're going to come back to you to then putting the ball in my court to
Mm-hmm.
decide whether we keep the baby or not. And I think at that stage as well, I didn't fully understand the impact of me keeping the baby and how that could affect my treatment and the order of my treatment as well. Um, so I'm feeling a little bit sick.
No, listen. Let me tell you something. I didn't bring tissue. I brought these because I know I'm gonna be crying. Listen, you cry, baby girl. If you need to let that out, you have been through so much. Just up to there, finding out that you're pregnant, then finding out that you have cancer, then now having to make a decision, knowing that the treatments that you should get will not be the same as what everyone else could if you kept your child, then deciding if you should. Do you know how much emotion you were going through at one time that many people do with one at a time?
Too many.
Too
Too many.
many.
Yes. So what happens next? They said to me in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to need to have a single mastectomy, and they said that I would be able to have the operation while pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And they also preferred for me to have the operation while pregnant rather than starting off with chemo, because when you're pregnant, you can't have chemo because it will damage the baby.
Right.
So that what they decided to do was have the operation, then have the chemo to make sure that it gets rid of any remaining cells, and then after that have another scan and then see if I need radiotherapy or not. So, yeah, 3 weeks later, I went for the operation, and it was so weird leading up to it, because not weird, it was horrible leading up to it, because I've got, from the time my body developed, I had breasts. Like I had
some
them.
boobies.
Yeah, it felt a bit weird saying breasts on Instagram, but I have them. We all have them.
Yeah, we can. Sorry, we can. They some real stuff.
Yeah. So the idea of waking up and then not having both of them was just it was a wild thought and a horrible thought, because they're part of me. And as much as people want to say, well, your body shouldn't, but make you feel more or less than you are,
right?
Whatever gender you feel you are.
Yeah.
But for me, personally, it's part of my body, and it's always, especially with me being into fashion and clothing, and always being very particular about what I wear and how I wear things. That was just messing up the dance. It was shaking up my life, and I didn't like it. And I knew that it would make me feel less than.
Okay.
I knew it was going to do that. So I made sure that I spent some time just like with myself to kind of like ground and sort of connect with myself before losing a part of myself. And that was literally just quiet time. And I don't even know if I should say this one, but I also took pictures of myself as well. So I remember I looked like.
That's fair. Did they not do that in the hospital though? Did they not do that? Because I thought, if I remember rightly, before people said they used to take a picture of the test before, and then did they not do that?
No, I don't recall them doing that.
Okay.
I don't recall them doing that. But yeah, I had to make sure I had my picture, so I remembered what I was like beforehand, because although I would get to the stage where I didn't have that, that was just part of me, and I didn't want to lose that part of me.
Definitely.
And I definitely don't feel like the same person now.
You don't feel like the same person? No. Okay.
I don't feel like the same person. Not just because of the operation, but I guess, the whole journey and missing out on life for an entire year and a bit.
Right.
And I'm still not fully integrated back into life.
Okay.
Um, and I say that because it also during all of this, there's a pandemic.
I was coming to that. I was going to say, how do you think your treatment was within the pandemic? Like, do you think the journey could have been different if there wasn't and there wasn't all those restrictions and whatever? Or do you feel because anyway you became a vulnerable person?
Both.
You
Both.
know, how do you?
With chemo, anyway, you have to make sure um, that you keep yourself in clean environments because you're more prone to infection. I'd give you the whole technical reason, but my brain is like a 7. I don't remember it off by heart. So yes, I had to be careful with that, but then also having to be careful with the pandemic, and that literally it's a really touchy subject for me when it comes to the pandemic because I wanted to be able to once we had finally settled down up in Manchester, settle down properly and having our
Right.
place redone. And I was also working. I started doing my graphic design as well,
Right.
working from home with Hayden
Hmm.
because I wasn't able to do the fashion stuff while I was up there. I started, life started to move again postpartum and, getting through that bit. And then,
Right.
poof, all of this happens.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm thinking, once things progress with my work, and we settle down, and we can do more trips to London and see everybody, and then come back up and then see everybody, and people can come out. And then it's a thing where you have to
Nah.
be very careful.
Hmm.
You have to be extremely careful.
Yeah.
And then obviously people weren't allowed to really go out unless they had work to go to or hospital
Right.
appointments.
Right.
So that it was just really stressing me out. It was really stressing me out. And the idea of not being able to see somebody now based on the pandemic is very triggering for me. Like I get upset. If you
Mm.
ask me, I get very upset once
You're not
there's a
the only one.
possibility
Too
that I
many
can't do
people
it
struggle.
due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
So yeah, people, I'm not the best storyteller. Keep bouncing around, but I'm going back to the operation. So 15th of February, I had my operation and got to the hospital really early in the morning. And for the people that knew, like my closer friends and family, they were, I was having little messages and conversations with them beforehand,
Hmm.
which helped
Yeah.
because I was feeling really nervous and really scared. And when I when they called me to actually get ready for the operation, I'm thinking, you know what, God, I can't do this. I can't do this, and you're going to need to sort something out so that I can get out of this room and go back home
Yeah.
because this isn't supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the night I got home after my diagnosis, I said, I prayed and I said, you know what, God, I'm going to get through this. And I know I'm going to be okay. And I've got Hayden, so there's no choice. There's no other option here.
Mm.
So you need to understand how this is going to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through this. I'm still going to be here for my
Hmm.
baby, and I'm going to be here when my next baby arrives. And he's going to come and he's going to be okay. And that was the last conversation. That was the last prayer I said. That was the last prayer I said. I can't remember. I don't remember a week or the next time I prayed after that.
Right.
After that prayer, it was a very, very, very long time.
Rapid. Just gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I didn't pray. I didn't think about God. I didn't think about anything like that. I just thought I said that, and there's no point where I ever said to myself, "You're not going to make it." I didn't tell myself, "I'm not going to be okay
Mhm.
and I'm going to die." There was none of. I didn't think about death. I didn't think about any of those things
Mhm.
because it wasn't an option.
I hear you.
Um, and it still isn't an option.
I hear you with that one.
It's not on the table for that. But it was really difficult coming out from the surgery. It was, in fact, when I laid down on the table, I was shaking and I was crying
Mm.
and trying to. I wasn't wailing, but I was definitely like
No,
crying
no,
a lot.
you was doing the deep cry. You know the cry that's so deep that you can't make a sound. It's the
Well, no, I didn't want to make no noise in the face.
no, but that's the
So
whole point. It's the one where you're trying.
yeah, I didn't want to make no noise because I would have just made everyone else want to run. But I was crying, and then they were doing. Everyone was around me doing whatever they needed to do in the operating room, and I fell asleep. And then when I came round, there's some really noisy nurses in that area, and they were peeing me off because I was feeling so sick,
Oh,
and I was being sick as well.
oh,
And it was really unsettling coming out from the anesthetic. It was horrible. Um, and then I didn't look at myself. Well, I couldn't at that stage, to be honest with you. Um, but by the time I got to the ward where I needed to stay, I remember I spoke to my friend. I spoke to Paul, and I think that was the second time round when I said to my before I spoke with him, and I said to myself, "I'm all right. Okay, like it's all right. You know, it's not too bad. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right." So like, I said, "All right, I'm okay." But little did I know, I guess, as much as you can think about what you're going to be like after, you're not prepared and you don't know. You
did
don't
you
know
look?
what. No, I had a bandage, so I couldn't see.
Okay, so no, but I mean, like, when
But
you
yeah, yeah.
when
So
they went to
I did,
yeah,
but because of the bandage, I couldn't really tell. So there wasn't. I don't think that I saw enough to to really make me think.
okay,
If that makes sense.
hmm
And I was also really tired and I was super hungry. And you know, I'm like, when I get hungry, I'm really, really hungry. And then Matthew, I think he was it in that the night. I think he FaceTimed him, and I
how
saw
many
him.
days did you have to stay in the hospital for?
I was meant to stay in there for 2 nights. I stayed in for 3 because my mind was messing me up. I was too. I didn't want to go
Oh,
back home.
okay, that's
I didn't want to
understandable.
go back home because I felt different.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable.
I didn't want to go home, and I was also just in a really. I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you? So now this has happened. What do you do? How do you live? Like, and I've got all these other things that are meant to be happening.
Right.
Whereas in the hospital, I guess it seemed like everything was on pause.
Okay.
Um, and there was a really nice nurse there who was really lovely, and he then. I didn't really say that much, but he could tell that I was struggling. So then he got one of the breast care nurses to come and speak with me.
Right.
And he said, you know what, on this ward here, when people come up from their operations, they're not equipped to deal with someone that's dealing with what you're dealing with. They
Mm.
need to train us to deal with some things like this.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, he was amazing. Um, so yeah, so that I had a conversation with healthcare nurses, and I knew that when went home, I wouldn't be able to pick up Hayden, and because I was always with Hayden and Matthew was working from home, so Hayden's used to being around me, and I'm used to be as much as I might get tired and exhausted. I was used to being around him and having him around me. So that was going home and sort of peeking through because we had a little window area to the living room that you could see from the hallway. And sometimes I would just peek through and look at him, Matthew and Hayden, and really want to be in there. But I knew that I couldn't because I knew that he'd try and he's a boisterous
Try
boy.
when you were,
I would
yeah.
and you couldn't do that. And just getting because they removed. They also removed all of the lymph nodes in my left arm and the armpit area. Because the cancer had spread there to most of the lymph nodes, and they didn't want to. They didn't want to leave any in just in case.
Right.
So they had to take it all out as well. So you getting used to using my arm again. I had to do exercises to get so that I could start to use my arm again. I can now put my arm all the way up, but before, for a long time, it was only there.
Right.
And actually, 2 weeks ago, I could only raise it up this high because I was having issues with it. So yes, I had to start doing daily exercises, laying on the floor and moving my arms around and all of that stuff, which was really painful. And then the doctors needed to think about when to start my chemotherapy.
Right. And remind people you're still pregnant at this time.
Yeah, still pregnant.
You're going through this journey pregnant.
Yeah. And the baby was due September.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the baby was due September. So they needed to think about how many rounds of chemo I was going to have and when it would start. And they said to me, the 29th of March is when you're going to start chemotherapy. Right. And we made the decision to move closer to London so that I could get my treatment at the Royal Marsden and also be somewhat closer to friends and family to extra support. And so my brother came up and he helped us move down.
Mm-hmm. So that was the first move.
That was the first. That was the first move out of the three.
Moving.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for now because when I look back and think about all the moving, the back and forth, will this be saved? I'm not sure now. When I think about all the back and forth, the moving and the place where we stayed in first,
right?
It wasn't. We weren't settled, and we were there temporarily until the place we would be for long term was ready.
Right.
But that's when I started my chemo. And at first it was every 3 weeks. Over the course of 4 weeks, I had chemo every 3 weeks on a Monday. And by the end of those 4 weeks, by the end of the 4 weeks, I started to have chemotherapy weekly. So that was from, trying to get my March. So from the end of April straight May, I started to go in once a week. And that was a lot. It was intense.
Okay.
It was very intense. And just knowing about, also when I got the diagnosis and then being told I have to have chemo, I'm thinking, and then also the mastectomy, I'm thinking, there's a lot of changes happening with my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no control over it whatsoever. And at first I think, you know what, it doesn't even matter. I'm just going to cut my hair off. I'm just going to shave it off and get on with it. And it will go back. That was all a lot of chat. A lot of chat. Because by the time I started to see my hair falling out, I kept on telling myself, okay, I'm going to cut it. I need to cut it now. I need to cut it. But I kept on holding on to it. I even started to stash it, what was coming out, into a bag. Because I didn't want to let go of my hair.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of hair. I I had
You
a
did.
lot of hair.
It was beautiful.
I had a lot of hair on my head, and it just started to go and get really patchy during that time, and that was just stressful. I mean, I already then had to switch up my wardrobe, my clothing with what I was wearing, and um, yeah, a lot of my clothes I can't wear anymore. And then to have my hair falling out, I just started to feel really unpretty and really extremely unattractive. And even though there might be anyone else out there who would have told me their story and about them losing their hair, having a mastectomy, whether it's single or double, I would have said, no, that's not true. But when it comes to you, when it comes to your dealing with yourself, it's a completely different story.
Totally different.
It's a different story. And then also at the same time, I'm getting a belly. And as much as I love my baby in my belly, a bald head, one boob, and no hair.
You know what? When you say like that,
I'm sorry, it's not the sexiest combo. It is not the sexiest
oh my
combination
god,
ever.
you must have still been, and you are, you would have been still beautiful. Both head, one boob, and a belly. You still.
I mean, again, I took pictures, but I was still vexed. I wasn't okay. I wasn't really comfortable about it with it. Um, what else happened? But it was very
What do you think
challenging
that
going
this
through chemo
challenge to
and
that stage set you? Because you still hadn't had your child yet, but this baby is actually a local baby. In
he
the
is,
sense
and
that
he
you
is.
were, what was the ratio they gave you? You were 1 in 1 what to have that?
Oh, goodness, you're asking something baby brain. But
'Cause I remember you said they said that it's very rare for someone to be pregnant and have
yeah,
the
it's
cancer.
it's very it's
So you
rare
were
for
like
people
one
to
in
have.
one, how many hundreds of thousands, which is like, deep. And I said to you, this is COVID. And remember, the news was talking about so many people who had had cancer and were suffering. They were losing out on their treatments. They weren't getting seen, things like this. And I feel in my heart of hearts that God allowed you to be pregnant at this time because you got the top care with your cancer
No,
treatment.
100. I can't. I don't have any. Talking about this, Jenna, I don't have any real upsets with the doctors in the
Right.
hospitals. I can't say that like other people might be able to. And I was really blessed in that sense because from diagnosis, I only had to wait 3 weeks. And with COVID having already gone, people were waiting on waiting lists for years and months, like up to 6 months as well. I remember being on the way to the hospital one time in a Uber, and people were complaining. I think it was LBC. People were complaining about how long they're going to have to wait for treatments, whether it's cancer or anything else. And I'm on my way, and they're seeing me 1,000 times a month to get treated.
That's
So
good.
I'm grateful and I'm very fortunate. And also Lucas, which is baby, for anyone that doesn't know, baby number two. We're blessed to have him because if I had gotten pregnant during that time or at a different stage throughout my diagnosis, then he might not have been there.
Mm.
He may not have been here. And I spoke to different ladies, and I had a conversation with a lady on when I went to go and have chemo. She was waiting as well, and she said to me, "Oh, how come you're pregnant and you're having chemo?" And I was like, "Well, they said that I could have it. They did tell me I might not terminate, but then they switched things around, and then I was able to keep the pregnancy." She said, "Well, they're telling me." She said she's been trying to have a baby. She's been trying to have a baby for 10 years
Oh, wow.
with IVF and been struggling. And they're telling her that No, sorry. I can't remember how long she'd been struggling trying to have a baby for, but they told her she'd have to wait 10 years because once you've had chemo and radiotherapy, for breast cancer diagnosis, a lot of people go on medications that prevent you from having, they don't prevent you, they could really harm the baby's
Oh,
development. So they warn you not to get pregnant while you're taking those medications. So now I'm on tamoxifen, which is a daily tablet,
okay.
and I'm also having monthly hormone injections as well, which one
Wow.
called Soladex. And you're not allowed to get pregnant on those. So for her, they told her, you'd have to wait 10 years. She's like, I'm not waiting 10 years.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just, yeah, I just, in that moment, I felt bad. I felt blessed, but I also felt bad
Right,
because I
right.
couldn't imagine what that was. And, with Hayden and Lucas, it wasn't, they knew what they planned. There was minimal effort to, conceive him.
God said
And
it's time.
yeah, there was minimal
Let's have
effort
a
to
biology lesson.
so yeah, and then I think the same day I spoke to one of the nurses that was treating me, and she was due to have her baby in October, and but prior to that, she'd had a miscarriage. So that was her second pregnancy.
Wow.
And I'm there thinking, like, I'm just like, wow, because these people have been struggling with their pregnancies,
Yeah,
and I'm here with this baby in my belly while I'm being able to have treatment at the same time.
definitely.
But pregnancy and chemo and having a toddler and also like moving and all of that was a lot. It was very intense, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Of course. So, like, what has this challenge taught you right now?
It's taught me, it's a bit of a 50-50 because it's taught me, I feel like it's shown me that I'm stronger than I am, although at the same time I feel weak.
Mhm.
I feel weak and I feel broken. And I feel fragile is the best word to describe it. I feel very fragile, and
Right.
yeah, I've gotten through this. Um, and you don't know what's going to happen
Right.
ever. Life is full of surprises. It's
Yes.
full of surprises, and also, we all know that you can't take life, and you shouldn't take life for granted,
Hmm.
but we do on a regular.
Yeah.
On a regular. Um,
So
we
here's a
take
question, a challenge, another challenge. How did you or have you got to a place where you love all of you?
I'm laughing because I'm not there.
Mhm.
I'm not there. I'm not sure what date I'll get there.
That's fair.
Um,
That is so fair.
and I think because of the whole, the combination of, it's a combination of things. Having gone through pregnancy and trying to, yeah, through pregnancy and then readjusting to my body again, and then the operation and my hair. And although my hair started to grow back, it's at this it's about that long, and it's at a funny stage where you can't do nothing with it. So, which is frustrating. So it's just looking like a little bit of grass in my head. Took like a little bit of grass in my head, and hence I've got this lady on today.
But you know, you wait. You're some bashment, young, flowing thing right now. So what is it, you know?
So I didn't mean to go
And
on.
we don't know what they talk about. The little short hair looks like me, the short hair that we come in.
Yeah, it's a lot of adjustments. It's a lot of adjustments. And I guess, yeah, as I was saying earlier, it's taught me that you don't really know the journey of someone's illness until you experience an illness for yourself. And even then, it's still a very individual and personal experience.
Right.
I
mean, I must say, for me, watching and observing you over this time, I have seen you grow and develop so much. The strength and resilience that I've seen you come with that you didn't even know you had. You know, like you felt, you said, I can't do anymore, I can't go any further. And then you got a second win. You know, you went up again. And then you got a third win. And I was just like, Lord, hold them, because you go through stuff. I mean, you know, by the time you got to delivery, did you have him early or was he full term? Or
he was 1 week early. 1 week early. They had to deliver him early because what's it now? But yeah, they had to deliver him early for certain reasons, and then I remember the reason.
Don't worry, that's fine. So
I remember the reason I'll say, but yeah, they had to deliver him early, so it was a planned C-section.
Right.
And what was the question you asked me? I'm so sorry.
I remember as well. Remember you said that they said he was going to be small.
Yes, because of the chemotherapy.
Right.
But he wasn't too small. He was 6 pounds and 4 ounces, which considering as well was really good.
Yeah.
He was in. They did bring him to a different unit. He wasn't breathing that well.
Okay.
So they thought he might have had an infection as well. So we didn't have him for about a night and a bit, which was horrible. Because obviously around this time, I'm still scared that whether something might not be okay with him. Even though scans were there each time I had a scan, it was okay. But while you're having so much drugs going into your body, you just don't really know what the outcome is.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So did you change your diet or anything extra to help you to facilitate?
I tried
handling
it. So what did I do? A few weeks in after diagnosis, I said, okay, I'm gonna go vegan.
Sorry, vegan. I don't mean that. Sorry. It's just that I like you're a liar. You still have not made the right fake cheese for mac and cheese. So I can't go vegan. I can do vegetarian. Sorry.
Yeah, I said I was gonna go vegan. But I wasn't doing it properly. And I guess I didn't do that much research into what kind of, I did a little bit, but I probably could have done more research into what type of foods. But I think with already being distressed and then completely changing my eating, that wasn't working for me. It was mentally challenging. It was soul destroying. And it's not even because I thought, oh, I just want some chicken. Oh, I just want some beef. I just wanted normality. I already had a lack of normality with the pandemic as well, and then not being able to go anywhere.
Sit back.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And not being able to go anywhere. So
You were
yeah,
going through, you were going through some transitions, from diagnosis to operation to chemotherapy and then food and then pregnant and being pregnant, then delivery. Hey,
yeah. Even
anybody
from the yeah,
would need some ice cream or chocolate or something.
yeah. And that's literally. I wanted all of those sweet things to just
Yeah,
make me feel better.
yeah.
So Lucas was born, and he's doing well. He was tiny. He was still like quite petite, but now he's chunky. Um, and I was looking at a picture on my phone the other day of Lucas and Hayden, and thinking about how I kept on looking at it. Probably for the space of half an hour, I picked up my phone about 40 times just to look at the picture,
Uh,
and looking at them, and both of them, and thinking, wow,
I mean, that's what I'm
wow,
saying.
just
Your
the
story is
fact
so
that they're here,
amazing.
that I'm here, and that Matthew was able to support us through all of this madness as well.
Just very quickly, like, because, you shared your story and it's so amazing, but you were not alone. But how was it for both of you in the adults in this? Because I think sometimes people think only you were going through it, but your partner's going through it as
Oh,
well with you.
he was going through it. Although,
Not physically, but he's
no,
going through the emotional
the emotions, yeah.
journey with you.
He's
Yeah,
going through the emotional journey, but for him, his focus was he needs to keep on working so that we're financially stable. He needs to make sure that he finds us a home, all of those other things.
right, right.
Um, and because I wasn't working, there was even the financial dependency had increased, and the pressure. So the pressure had increased for him to be able to look after all of us
Right, right.
as well. And I said, based on my experience with my mum not being well, I was saying to him, I felt like I needed to prepare him, and I was saying, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be intense.
Right.
I'm not going to be okay. But the difference was for my mum, she had stomach cancer, so she was being sick quite a bit. So there was a lot of back and forth and looking after her,
Right, right.
um, which was traumatizing for me. To keep on, like, waking up in the morning and hearing that, I never wanted to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then I would feel bad because I could hear her, and then I wasn't going to her to go and help her. And it was horrible. So that was my perspective, and I was trying to warn him of that. But thankfully, I didn't actually throw up at all. I did feel sick, but I didn't throw up at all throughout chemotherapy, which it can make a lot of people do that. Throw
And
up.
you were pregnant and you didn't be sick.
I didn't throw up. There was one Easter weekend I was sick and I was in bed.
Wow.
Um, anything else other than that, most of the time, I did have a little bit nausea, but no vomiting. I didn't actually vomit,
Wow.
um, which is a blessing because I've got a phone. Like it stresses me out. Like it's not nice. Um, yeah,
Wow. That's
but yeah,
amazing. So you've gone through, but you're still going through because it's not over, right?
no. I
I know
finished
that you
radiotherapy in
had
November.
treatment after,
Yeah,
after the pregnancy, and that was radiotherapy then, right?
yeah, radiotherapy 5 days a week for 3 weeks.
Right. Okay. So now let's briefly tell people you're right here, right now, your hair, your health, your state of mind, your body. Where are you?
So my state of mind. See, I don't want to freak out anyone.
No, no, no. Listen,
that
this is
may
real talk. We're keeping it real because I think sometimes one of the reasons why we don't overcome as we can is because we fake it and we pretend and we try and make out that we're in a great place when really we're freaking out and we're
yeah.
losing our minds. And then we're so used to making sure that everybody else is happy, we don't can. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you the truth. The truth is that I'm numb. I'm numb.
Okay.
I'm numb to the point where I can't cry, even if I wanted to.
Okay.
Even if I'm ups, I can get angry. That will come. But if it's an actual like tearful type of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, it's not gonna come. I cried properly for the first time 2 weeks ago when I had my injection. So the Zoladex treatment that I have, monthly hormone treatment that I have, is a giant injection that puts a pill into your abdominal area.
Mm. Okay.
Um, and it is painful, but the first time around I was fine. I didn't, it was painful, but I didn't cry. But this time around, the pain touched a nerve that made me cry. And I had a big outburst while lying down there. And it felt good to let it out. But
Mm.
I tried to get that out again and it didn't happen. Yeah, I feel very emotionally numb. And it's interesting. I'm curious to see how I'm going to be after this because as I started talking and as I tonight, I felt myself start shaking and start to get hot and sweaty and just really um, while reliving and actually talking through it.
Right.
Um, and I do. It's not that I don't think about it. I do think about it, but I
Yeah.
guess it's just more on a surface level. I end
Mm-hmm.
up thinking about it
Mm-hmm.
because I've got two babies to be looking after. I've got a toddler and a baby. I can't, as much as I want to try, or as much as I can try, I can't completely just drop off.
I've heard some expressions from some about that outer body experience. So you feel like, is this my life? You're on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Do you ever have those encounters? Like,
yeah,
what is it?
I I, do- I do, and it can get to the point where it's not nice
Okay.
because for me, to the point where one night I was in bed and I felt empty. I literally felt like a cardboard box, and I'd never felt anything like that before. I literally felt like I had no organs inside of me. There was nothing. Um, and that level of numbness and feeling like I'm outside of my body, I felt light as a feather as well. Sounds crazy, but I felt light as a feather. It was so weird and so horrible that I held on to Matthew really tight. I didn't tell him at that point, but so he had no idea why I was holding on to him like that. But it was horrible. It was awful.
That's fair.
Um,
So,
but I'm grateful. We've now moved to our permanent home, and we're comfortable. We're only 3 weeks in, but I'm comfortable. We're comfortable. We're settling in,
good.
and I'm grateful that we were able to do this. And another thing to tell people is if you can get health insurance because it helps. If we didn't have health insurance, and that was from Matthew, I think, suggesting it because I probably would have been like some other people who haven't sorted out any health insurance.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if I didn't have health insurance, it would have made things a lot more difficult. Um, and there are charities out there that can support.
Right.
There's Mum Star, which was the first. I yeah, that was the first charity that I'd contacted, and I got to have a FaceTime talk with the lady that's been supporting me on Friday,
Right.
or Friday, Monday, sorry. So it was really
Okay.
nice to be able to see her and talk to her,
Right.
and yeah, I'll probably have to have another conversation with her about.
That's
But
fine.
yeah,
Where are you going from here, though? What's your plans? What are your goals? Like, what are your dreams? Because you're alive. You know, it's an amazing story. Um, and I'm getting messages like, "Wow, this interview is like so deep." You know, wow. You know, where are you dreaming and visualizing that you're going to be?
my dream. So I was doing before having becoming a mum. I had my own business and was doing fashion styling, and I do want to get back to that.
Okay,
But I
excellent.
need to now that we've moved. I also need to get Hayden into nursery and all those things there. So I would like to do that, but I on Friday I handed in an application for a user experience to use UX designer,
Fantastic.
and that's user experience, and that for me that's my new journey. So I've
Excellent.
got to look for a few more roles and apply to those. I need something that will allow me for now, to, especially with Lucas, to at his age, allow me to get home with the boys.
Right, right. So, all this pandemic working, remote working.
Yeah.
Right.
So career-wise, there's that. Um, I also want to be able to find a way to support others who have gone or who might go through, because I don't, in my journey, I've not come across any black women in England that
Mhm.
have gone through this, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
And if I've not met any black women that have gone through pregnancy and cancer,
Mhm.
there's someone else out there that hasn't been able to get in touch, or connect with
Okay.
someone that's got a similar journey, because the pregnancy does is a huge it makes a huge difference in
Difference.
comparison,
Right. Right. To
in
the
terms of
journey. Yeah.
experience and what you have to deal with.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I would like to be able to do that. I also got back into my yoga the other day, so
Good.
started. I want to be healthy.
Good.
I want to be healthy. I want to be able to get my body back in the sense that with the pregnancy and the treatments, my body isn't functioning and moving around like it used to.
Right.
I'm very achy, exhausted all the time.
That's
But
understandable.
yeah,
You see, this is what I'm saying, Superwoman. You'll be like, yeah, I've done chemo, I've done radiotherapy, you had a baby. Yeah, I'm cool.
think it's
It's
a thing in your head where you
understandable.
want to be in your head where you want to be okay.
Right.
You want to be okay. You want to be normal. And although I've done it 1,000 times and done it 1,000 times, I don't want to. I don't really want to say that I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, I don't want to not be. I want to be okay.
Yes.
Um,
You don't want to look at your life and say that there's a fault. No.
yeah.
You want to
Well,
look at your life
not
and
a
say,
cancer.
I've
Definitely
gone
not a
through
cancer
this
fault.
challenge, which you have. I'm overcoming, I've overcome, and now I'm on the next phase of the journey.
Yeah.
That's really how you want to start seeing it. And I'm really proud of you that you're not shying away from sharing with others the journey. And if I do, I've now been aware of other people who are suffering from different forms of cancer. They may not be pregnant, but it's still cancer. You know, are you open to, you know, be saying, look, there's somebody who may like to have a word with you, or, you know that the empowerment practice, that is what, you know, we do. It's for us to empower you to go out there and be a better version of you. Are you open to that challenge of, you know,
Yeah.
talking to others and you know, building a unity of people who are overcomers? You know, you've got all those people that are like champions because they won the Olympics, they've done whatever. Hello, this is this is an Olympics, okay? This is Winter Olympics, the normal Olympics, Paralympics, all in one. So
Yeah.
we,
I
and
mean,
we're
I would,
trying to
I would
help
be
you
open to it.
tape up the baton, you know. So I'm just going to say from me, from my heart to you, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you and the journey you have started, that you have on, and that you will continue. And you're going to go from strength to strength. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to share your story, because it's so powerful. It's so heartfelt in a sense. Like, you were going through two worlds. You were going through the woman dealing with cancer and surviving and fighting it. But then you were also going through a woman who's being pregnant and trying to save her child. Because people didn't recognize you were also saving your child.
Yeah.
And when you're pregnant, it's your most vulnerable time. Anything could have happened. And look at our miracle baby Lizard. He's amazing.
He is amazing.
Funny little chappy, isn't it? And I said to you before, he is a fighter. He was like, you come with those drugs, I ain't going. I ain't going. I'm here for a purpose, you know. And so God has blessed you. So one thing I wanted to ask you though before we close is, you mentioned a lot that your mom had cancer. Did they tell you? I know you were meant to take some tests. Is it hereditary in your family? Like, what did they decide?
Yeah, so it is. Both my parents passed from cancer, and
Wow.
they, because of the type of hormone that it is, that's the reason that I've got to have the hormone injections to ensure that it doesn't come back. Because of the gene, I've got a gene called PALB2, and it's the type of gene that has potential to come back. So, yeah, so they're going to keep an eye on that.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. Wow. So you're even fighting legacies here. Well, I just, as I said, I just want to commend you. I am so in awe of how God has blessed and used you to share your story. The challenges that you have gone through and have overcome and are still overcoming. I know that you're such a talented woman. You know, you'll be designing or fashioning women who maybe have gone through cancer and have maybe lost clothes. You're going to start making those hot dresses for one booby. Do you see what I mean? You know, it's possible. So, because that's how creative and talented you are. You know, hey, this is where you thought you rock. Well, rock one, okay? And it's about loving you and identifying that my body may look different, but I'm still me. And this is where I always say, that's where I say that, again, you're a woman who is flawsome. You know, society may look on and think that you are flawed, you have a flaw, but you're still awesome. And you just have to remember that you rock. Okay? So I am thanking you so much for sharing and spending the time with us this evening in your journey. So many people are sending love hearts, and you know, they're sending hugs. And they're just saying it's such a great thing for you, and they thank you for sharing.
I'm glad I could share, because as scary as it is, I think it's something that people need to hear.
Yeah. And you go back and you listen to this and you hear how amazing you are. Well, this is OMG Real Talk, and we are signing off and saying thank you for joining us this evening. Please reach out to me, get in touch. I can put you in touch with Kareem if you want to have a talk with her, and know that we are here for you to support you, and we want to hear your story. So thank you guys. Stay blessed. Bye bye.
Bye.
Now, how you click this thing off?